Hello, I'm crazy enough to lay over in the cold winter at London Heathrow to check out the world's greatest capital, to have a midnight stroll along its famous landmarks, getting a history lesson in two of the most oldest museums on earth while surviving an earthquake, going for some fresh air at London's most famous public park before dropping by to see His Majesty the King, as well going mad on top of the London's historic bridge. We'll then end our layover by getting some spectacular views from getting high, and bidding farewell from one of the world's most recognizable doors. Not to mention eating really cheap and getting around on foot and on London's famous double-decker and underground. Anything I can do, you can do, all on a budget. Actually, pretty much all free. Perfectly planned for your 8 hours, 12 hours, 18 hours, and overnight layovers.
Under pressure, no more time. Can we make a move? Overthinking, you and I. What do we have to lose?
Considered as one of the world's most important cities, with a history stretching back 2 millennia, first settled by Romans, the city of London throughout its existence has played a critical influence in the world of art, entertainment, education, science, and of course, tourism. Today is the largest city and the capital of England and United Kingdom, the heart of nation's political power. Most importantly for me, as a proud banker and a runway director for the New York Fashion Week, I'm here to experience one of the world's greatest financial centers and one of the 4 fashion capitals in the world. With that being said, let's get going. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just landed. Welcome to London. Our journey has just begun. First, let's talk about my favorite subjects. As a city full of bankers, flashing your cash won't impress the ladies. And yes, credit card is accepted everywhere. To save time, just use it. Given this is a layover, most attraction is free and you won't need to spend that much. If you really need to use cash, do not make withdrawals from the airport ATM. Those private bank machines charge us high fees on withdrawals and out of the world exchange rates. So wait until you get down to London and grab cash from the ATM operated by a major bank. Secondly, let's take some loads off our hands. Another tip is make sure you ask your airline to check your luggage, the bulky things, into the final destinations, so you'll need to deal with it while you are laying over in London. Unless you're staying overnight, they should be able to do that. Or you're flying on a separate ticket, then there's nothing you can do. In that case, put your luggage into luggage storage. They do cost money, but it is available here. And so make sure you check the hours. It's not 24 hours, that's one thing. 364 days a year. It's actually very easy to get down to central London. There's like Heathrow Express. There's also London Underground, the tube. But today is Christmas. Everything closed down except for our express bus. Oh yeah. So sorry guys, this is the worst day to do a layover, but when you come here, hopefully it doesn't fall on the Christmas day. But first things first, for me, let's go and take the bus down right now. To catch this bus to central London, you'll need to head to the central bus station within Heathrow Airport. I recommend you pre-book your seat online and save £2 over-the-counter booking fees. Alright, so I just got my ticket at the ticket counter over there, and trust me, it does cost an arm and a leg, but there's no option. This is like 2 days of unlimited travel in the city of London, but at least I'm grateful that there is an option to get onto London Victoria, because taking a taxi or Uber is even more damaging. Oh, okay, we're on our way. So as you can see over down there, you see how valuable the real estate space underneath the luggage is. So if you do have a big luggage, my advice to you is be one of the first ones, or else you might cry. All right. Here you go. I'm up in the bus right now. Look like it's a full party ahead. Wish me luck. I can find a decent seat. If you manage to find a crazy rich agent to pay for your ride, the easiest is by Heathrow Express trains. Departing every 15 minutes, the total journey also is about 15 minutes to London's Paddington station. The next best option is London Underground subway, taking approximately 50 minutes. But make sure to tap the same credit card on all metros, buses, and ferries. You'll see why. Be warned, under no circumstance you should take a cab, even if you don't mind paying an arm and a leg, or maybe even your liver or kidneys. You might not survive the London traffics. It's bad. We just arrived in Tokyo. Just joking. Actually, it's London Victoria. As you can see, I'm actually on the London's very famous double-decker buses right now. This is actually one of the best ways to get around because you actually get to see the view of the London. It is a pretty chilly day, so the glass is all fogged up. What's so nice about it is you can use your credit card to tap on, and you know, there is a daily cap. Wow. I hope I'm not missing out on the party here. As long as you use the same card, they will actually capture the 24-hour maximum cap. Just keep in mind, that cap also applies to all the public transportation options, such as the underground, the tube, their subway system. And yes, for your information, the daily cap also applies to London Heathrow. It will be capped at zone 6. Now, how much will that cost? Well, that's something that you have to find out on your own because prices change all the time. With that being said, let's head right into the famous London Underground, the tube. To show off how brilliant I am, I'm going to show the most time-saving efficient route. So let's get off at a Piccadilly station in central London. This is especially a good start if you're spending overnight. Its neon light keep this traffic hub busy all night. It's a popular meeting place, so if you're looking for love, you came to the right place. Located in the neighborhood of St. James to the south and Soho to the north, the Piccadilly is a part of the name dating back to 1612, when a tailor named Roger Baker lived in the area and made a fortune selling Piccadilles. As for circuits, the word came from the Latin word for ring or circle and was commonly used by Romans to refer to public spaces. The crossroad was formed in 1819 and the intersection's first electric advertisement appeared in 1910. And from 1923, a giant electric billboard was set up on the facade of the London Pavilion, then a theater. So if you love these lights and hate to walk, grab a nice seat on top of the double-decker and enjoy the spectacular views. If you wonder the best place to grab a bite late into the night, I got you covered. From Piccadilly Circus to Chinatown is only 5 minutes on foot. This is where you can fuel up with some cheap eats, especially if you like Chinese food. As turn of the 20th century, majority of the Chinese population of London are concentrated in the Limehouse or East End of London. During the World War II, unfortunately, vast majority of the buildings were destroyed and causing its population to spread out. And as well, London also became very popular with Chinese immigrants, causing it even more disperse of the population. And in the 70s, especially with the growing popularity of the Chinese food by the locals, causing actually this area to be the new Chinatown. Now today, there's over 80 Chinese restaurants right here, with all different cuisines from all over the mainland Hong Kong, Taiwan. Today, Chinatown is an ethnic enclave in the Westminster, one of the 32 London's boroughs. Its colorful history stretched back long before the Chinese community of restaurants and business popped up in the 1950s. Rather, London's Chinatown began with the Great Fire of London. In a panic to rebuild, the Gerrard Street was completed in 1685. Then a market hall and a slaughterhouse was quickly added. The new wave of immigrants followed in the late 1800s. The Chinese community was short of income and even shorter of place to live in the post-war London. When they arrived in the area in 1950s, it gained a reputation for great nightlife and cheap commercial rent. Luckily for them, the British soldiers who were returning from the Far East have fallen hard for the Chinese cuisine, and outsprung the supermarkets and restaurants. Their success attracted more Chinese entrepreneurs away from the East End to seek their fortune. In the 1980s, the area got a full Chinatown treatment. The Chinese gate, street furniture and pavilion were added. Plus, its part of the Gerrard Street become pedestrianized. Once again, making your fried rice and dumplings ain't gonna take away your British job, so stop complaining. Be warned, there's a lot of cheap all-you-can-eat buffets, but there's always a catch. I heard a lot about this all-you-can-eat buffet. It's fairly inexpensive in London terms. I want to come and try it out, right, this experience. So what I can tell you is, even though it's cheap, you might not able to eat as much as you can because the lineup is quite long. My suggestion to you is, if you are going to do all you can, get as much food as you can, eat as fast as you can, and go back to the lineup again as quickly as you can. What else? You can be staying here until the next century. I'm 10 minutes into it, and the lineup is moving slowly. Another thing about places like this in Chinatown, you need to make sure to bring cash. What else? I finally got my food after like 15-20 minutes of waiting. This is the moment of truth, and just want to let everyone know, I do have very high standards for Chinese food. I'm Chinese, and trust me, American and Canadian Chinese are very good. The truth is, it tastes like rubber, but all I have to say is, you like it more than me. And I'm going to leave the comment for a little bit later when I do the voiceover. You basically get what you pay for. It's simply trash. But will still need to walk off all these calories? The good news? Just 2 minutes on foot you get to the heartbeat of London's West End, the world famous Leicester Square. Just a stone's throw away is another landmark here in London, and this is the Leicester Square, and a very popular gathering place for the Londoners. If you ask me which one do I like more, Trafalgar or Leicester, well, it's hard because over on that side has the High Commissioner for my country, Canada, but there's something I like equally as much. It's the world's largest M&M world. Sadly, it's closed because of Christmas, but let's have a look to see what else this square has to offer. By the way, I'm such a sucker for their sweet M&Ms. I'll accept their sponsorship anytime in form of candies. The history of this public square dates back to 1631. The second era of Leicester started construction of a large residence, which includes a large square open to the public in 1750. In the 19th century, theaters moved in along with hotels, museum, and exhibition center. In the 20th century, the area became known for its audacious casinos, grand theaters, and music entertainment venues. Today, this public square welcomes over 2.5 million visitors per week. So, there's no excuse that you won't find some cool new friends. Another 5 minutes on foot would take you somewhere really nice. If you like to get wet and up for a free bath at one of the beautiful water fountains, you come to the right place. Just joking. Oh yeah, just because it's late, there's no excuse not to come. This place is open 24 hours, the Trafalgar Square. It's actually surrounded by a beautiful water fountain on that side, as well as many historical statues and monuments around it. And if you wonder, hey, which country I'm from, make sure to look for a building right there, surrounded with red and white maple leaf flags. That will give you a clue. So that being said, let's have a look. During its history, the square had been a place for protests, demonstrations, and large-scale events, which continue to this day. Named after British victory in the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805, its centerpiece is a 52-meter Nelson's column in honor of Admiral Lord Horatio Nelson. The 4 bronze lion statues were added in 1867 by Sir Edward Lancaster and sit at the base of Nelson's column as a protector of the monument. From the 14th to the 17th century, the site housed the Royal Mews before relocating to its current location at the Buckingham Palace in the early 19th century. John Nash subsequently redesigned the square, which is officially opened in 1844. More recently, it was redeveloped to include a pedestrianized area at the north of the square in 2003. Some of the other architectures includes the fountain, which was added in 1845. Sir Edward Luyan redesigned the fountain in 1930s to include new centerpiece featuring dolphins, mermaids, and tritons. At night, you'll see these fountains illuminated in LED lights. We are about 4 hours into our layover, and to be honest, I am a little tired, and I am not a big fan of energy drinks. I want some real power. I'm definitely going to find a lot of political power in the heart of Westminster, the seat of the government for the United Kingdom. The catch, you have to walk 10 minutes on foot, or take the underground. Now for those of you who want a really good workout, there is also the stairs right there. And believe it or not, I do see some brave souls using it to get not down, up. Unfortunately, I am not that brave soul, so you have to see me do this right now, the lazy way. It's actually really nice the fact that the Westminster station are connected to so many of the famous landmarks. You go to exit number 1, is London Eye. I'm sure you saw the Ferris wheel. If you go to exit number 4, there will be the Big Ben, the famous clock, as well as House of Parliament, and as well the Westminster Abbey right there. If you would like to go and visit the Prime Minister, there's Downing Street right here, exit number 6. I'm not too sure which one I should go first. The city of Westminster is a borough in London. It's the site of United Kingdom's House of Parliament and much of the British government. It occupies a large area of central London, including most of the West End. Many London's landmarks are within the borough, including Buckingham Palace, Westminster Abbey, Whitehall, Westminster Cathedral, 10 Downing Street. Many of them can be seen from Westminster Bridge. I finally decided to come on to the bridge, and unless you are living inside the box, you probably recognize that beautiful landmark. The giant Ferris wheel is actually one of the largest on the planet, London Eye. Now, if you look behind me right here again, on top, that is the Big Ben. Yeah, the nickname for the clock inside the clock tower. Even though most of us refer to as Parliament of the United Kingdom, the nickname for the building is actually the Palace of Westminster. Now, given the fact that we are on this bridge already, let's go and have a look around and see what other things that we can discover. The Westminster Bridge is a road and foot traffic bridge over River Thames, linking Westminster on the west side and Lambeth on the east side. Until the early 18th century, the only way to cross the river was to pay to pass over the London Bridge, or take a ferry or a water taxi. Any proposal to build a new bridge was immediately and viciously opposed by the powerful forces of the City of London Corporation, which owns the London Bridge, and the mighty monopoly of Microsoft. Just joking. I mean the company of Waterman, which upheld the monopoly of ferrymen, and Archbishop of Canterbury, which profited from the ferry. In 1664, a proposal was put to the Privy Council for a bridge to replace the horse ferry, subsequently went no further. Another proposal in 1721 had much the same fate. In 1726, the Parliament finally proceeded to pass an act for building of a bridge, but once again, very little was done. The matter was once more put before the Parliament by the Earl of Pembroke, and act was finally passed in 1736 for building of a new bridge, as well as various improvements on both sides of the river. The Earl of Pembroke, an amateur architect who had been closely associated with the initiation of a plan, laid the first stone at the ceremony at the beginning of 1739. Sadly, the original bridge lasted until 1850s, in which time it was suffering from structural problems, requiring it to be replaced by the present bridge. I'll start by crossing over to the south bank of River Thames. My destination, the iconic London Eye, is Europe's tallest observation wheel and the most popular paid tourist attraction in the United Kingdom with over 3 million visitors annually. It's not cheap to get on, but don't worry, I got a budget alternative towards the end of the show for those of you with a 12 hours or more layover. The London Eye was designed by the husband and wife team of Julia Barfield and David Marks, formally opened by the Prime Minister Tony Blair on December 31st, 1999, then the world's tallest Ferris wheel. Originally intended as a temporary attraction with a 5-year lease, in December 2001, operators submitted an application to Lambeth Council to give the London Eye the permanent status, and the application was granted. The structure is 135 meters tall and the wheel has a diameter of 120 meters. The wheel contains 32 seated air-conditioned ovoidal passenger capsules. Numbers from 1 to 33 each represent one of London's boroughs, with number 13 excluded for being unlucky. Once again, given the time crunch and other budget alternatives available, let's move on. But not without returning to a North Bank and getting a good time lapse of this iconic landmark from Westminster Millennium Pier. For those of you who's wondering what I'm doing here, I'm actually doing a time lapse. You hear it? Okay, it's over now. Beginning of every hour, the clock to sound. But I'm actually freezing here, so I want to get this done. And yes, everyone, I do use my own footage, and I only last resort use stock footage. You just heard it. While here, it's very hard to miss the big elephant in the room. I mean, the Big Ben. When you are in the area, you'll hear the chimes of the Big Ben come on every hour, and the chimes of the smaller bells every 15 minutes to mark each quarter hour. Officially called the Clock Tower until 2012, when it was renamed to mark the Diamond Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth II, the Elizabeth Tower. This British cultural icon is the most prominent symbol of the United Kingdom and a parliamentary democracy, and a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1987. The origin of the nickname Big Ben is subject of some debate. It may have been named after the Sir Benjamin Hall, who oversaw the installation of the Great Bell, or after English heavyweight boxing champion Benjamin Conn. The Palace of Westminster was destroyed by fire in 1834. In 1844, it was decided a new building for the House of Parliament should include a clock tower. The massive bell weighs little more than me at 13 tons, and each minute's hands are 4.2 meters long while weighing over 220 pounds. Similarly, you can also visit the British Parliament, or officially the Palace of Westminster, commonly referred as a House of Parliament. It is made up of House of Commons, House of Lords, and Westminster Hall. To visit this UNESCO World Heritage Site can be done by booking a tour. Once again, they are sold out months in advance, so if you want to see and experience the power of parliamentary democracy, you got to be quick. The Palace of Westminster was built in 1840 on the site of an important medieval remains. It is a fine example of neo-Gothic architecture. The building was originally constructed in the 11th century as a royal palace and was primary residence of the kings of England until 1512. When a fire destroyed the royal apartment, the monarch moved the adjacent palace of Whitehall, but the remainder of the palace continued to serve as a home of the Parliament of England, which had met there since the 13th century. In 1834, a second, larger fire destroyed the majority of the palace, but the Westminster Hall was saved and incorporated into the replacement palace. The competition to design the new palace was won by the architect Charles Huang, who chose a Gothic revival style for the building. Construction started in 1840 and lasted for 30 years, suffering delays, cost overruns, and the death of Huang and his assistant Augustus Pengen. The Lord Chamber was finally completed in 1847 and the Commons Chamber in 1852. Although most of the work had been carried out by 1860, the construction was not finished until decades afterwards. During the World War II, the worst raid took place in the night of May 10 to 11, 1941, when the palace took at least 12 hits. The Common Chamber and the roof of Westminster Hall were both set alight, as a firefighter could not save both. The hall was prioritized and saved, while the chamber was destroyed. The extensive repair had to be made after the Second World War, including rebuilding the destroyed Common Chamber. In January 2018, the House of Commons voted for both houses to vacate the palace to allow a complete refurbishment of the building, which would take at least 6 years and starts no sooner than 2025. You have to pay up to see the Westminster Abbey, the site of coronation of all British monarchs even before I was born. Alternatively, another way to visit this Anglican church on a budget, I mean free, by marrying into a British royal family, and your wedding here will also be free. So good luck finding a loyal match on Tinder. Alright, let's be serious. Formerly titled the Collegiate Church of St. Peter's at Westminster, founded by the Benedictine monk in 960 AD, the Abbey is Britain's coronation church and the setting for many special ceremonies, including coronation of 40 English and British monarchs, a burial for 18 English, Scottish, and British monarchs. At least 16 royal weddings have taken place in the Abbey since 1100s. Given how outrageous the admissions fee is to visit the Big Ben, Parliament, and the Abbey, I'm not ending the night without making a formal complaint to a British Prime Minister in person. Actually, he's pretty drunk at this late at night, and the 10 Downing Street is only for those of you who's rich enough to pay a bribe to the politician in form of a campaign contribution. So I'm going to be a smart ass and hop onto a double-decker for a 10 minutes ride to 10 Adams Street. Now everyone knows one of the most famous addresses on the planet is 10 Downing Street. It's the residence of the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Well, sadly, I'm not invited, or you're probably ever going to get invited to see his residence. So the best next thing for those of you who want to get a souvenir photo of the famous store is coming to 10 Adams Street. This store looks exactly like the one that's in 10 Downing Street. The only thing over here, the reason I'm hiding my head, as you can see, there's some like security feature, like doorbells and stuff. So what you do, with some camera tricks, hide your head in front of it, and you can brag to all your friends that you've been to the PM's office. With that being done, this concludes the very special Christmas edition of DIY Layover featuring London. London's a very special city indeed. I hope you enjoy as much as I did. Yes, this is why I recommend you end your layover if you're staying for 8 hours or less. But if you are laying over 12 hours or more, keep watching. I'll see you in the morning. Anyhow, I'm going to wish you a good night for now. Good morning. Let us start our day on a high note by visiting the Hyde Park, the most famous public parking of the United Kingdom. There's many ways to get here and there's many sections. If you're using the map on your phone, most likely it will suggest you take a double-decker to Marble Arch Station. I'd say skip it, since this part of the park only offers flat grasslands and some ducks. Unless you like jogging or wanted to add one of these cuties as your Facebook friends, you'd be better off by taking the underground directly to Queensway Station. It's right next to a Kensington Garden. Hyde Park is the largest of all Royal parks and has an area of 350 hectares. Now, I already mentioned there's a lot of landmark in the city center that's available for you to visit any time of the day or night. You are coming late. Officially, Hyde Park is closed at midnight, but the park is just so big that if you want to get in, you are able to get in. But don't let me catch you here after the park closed, because if you're doing a layover, trust me, you will get lost in transit. And that is not a joke. With that being said, let's have a look of this lovely park. Actually, this is Kensington Gardens for your info, the official name for this part of the park. Established by Henry VIII in 1536 when he took the land from Westminster Abbey and used it as a hunting ground until the early 17th centuries. It was opened to the public in 1637 under Charles I and was used as a public camping ground by the people of London who fled the city in 1665 during the Great Plague. Major improvement occurred in the early 18th centuries under the direction of Queen Caroline, including the creation of a large artificial lake, popular with swimmers and variety of water birds. It was used for men's and women's triathlon events in the London's 2012 Olympics. Over its history as a publicly accessible space, Hyde Park has provided backdrop for many prominent events, including duels, protests, and concerts. During the Victorian era, the park became focal point for social protests. In 1851, it was the location of a great exhibition for which spectacular Crystal Palace was constructed on the park. On the north end of Kensington Gardens was a statue of Prince Albert, commissioned by Queen Victoria in the memory of her beloved husband who died at the age of 42 on December 14, 1861. The Albert's Memorial was built from 1864 to 1876. After a national competition to select a design and cost total over £120,000, which was raised by a combination of public subscriptions and parliamentary grant, it was finally unveiled in 1872. The centerpiece of the memorial is a 14-foot-high statue of Prince Albert holding a catalog of great exhibitions held in Hyde Park in 1851, which he inspired and helped to organize. There are 169 pieces of stationary figures incorporated into design. Marble figures representing Europe, Asia, Africa, and America stands at each corner of the memorial. Higher up, further figures representing manufacture, commerce, agriculture, and engineering. Above these are gilded bronze statues of angels and virtues. The bronze statue of Albert was removed in the First World War. By the early 1990s, the memorial had fallen into a state of some decay until the whole monument was restored in the gold leaf and unveiled in October 1998. Oh, if you really like parks, honestly, it will take you forever to see all the London's cool parks. Please just go to Hyde Park and maybe another one of the nearby parks and then move on to some cool museums or, the galleries or something like that. So many great thing to do here. Anyways, this is the Green Park. It's only about a couple stops away from the Hyde Park. And I think there are some cool monuments right over there. This Buckingham Palace facing monument comes from my home country of Canada. And yes, I'm very proud to call myself a Chinese-born Canadian. So I'm standing in front of the Canada Gate. This gate was built in 1911, presented to City of London by my home country of Canada, back then a dominion of British Empire. It also formed one of the gates to the Green Park. Now this was built in commemoration of Queen Victoria, who passed away in 1901. The Canada Gate was commissioned in 1905 along with the gates for Buckingham Palace. This ceremonial gate was gifted to Great Britain in order for Canada to celebrate its collaboration and contribution to then the British Empire. The gate bears a coat of arms of 6 of the 7 Canadian provinces of the time, while in the center of the gate is the original coat of arms of Canada of 1868. Ladies and gentlemen, behind me is the Buckingham Palace, the administrative center for the monarch of Great Britain and the Commonwealth. Now this surrounded is also the focal point for national rejuvenations and celebrations, and as well for mourning. The Buckingham Palace has been the principal residence and administrative headquarters of British monarchs since the accession of Queen Victoria in 1837. Prior to that period, monarchs lived in St. James Palace, which as the Court of St. James is still today's sovereign's official residence. Since then, it has been enlarged and redesigned several times, most noticeable by George IV, who doubled its size and turned it into a palace, and Sir Ashton Webb, who in 1903 added the facade, gate, and railings as appear to present day. Today, if you got time, you can witness the changing of the guard ceremony, lasting about 45 minutes on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. The tradition includes a soldier gathering around the St. James Palace and the Wellington Barrack from 10 a.m. and march to Buckingham Palace accompanied by music. In the summer months, self-guided tour is available to visit the palace's lavishly furnished staterooms. Standing in front of the palace is a monument dedicated to Queen Victoria. The Victoria Memorial by sculptor Sir Thomas Brock, first proposed 2 weeks after Queen's death in 1901 and finally inaugurated in May 16, 1911 by George V. Standing nearly 25 meters, it's the tallest monument to a monarch in England, honoring Victoria's 64-year reign. Leading to Buckingham Palace is a ceremonial route and roadway, referred to as the Mall, that travels 1 kilometer between Buckingham Palace at its western end and the Trafalgar Square. During a state visit, the monarch and the receiving head of state are escorted in state carriages up the Mall, and the street is decorated with a Union flag and the flag of visiting head of state's country. It is also used for many events, such as concerts and the annual London Marathon, where it finished on the Mall. So packed right here, but you know the routine. We need to go somewhere like that over That was easy. For those of you who have a curious mind or just want to find out if you're smarter than a rock, I got a perfect place for you. But first, you need to head over to the Green Park station to catch your underground. The ride is only 10 minutes. If you can do this, congratulations. Most likely, your answer is yes. Everywhere I go on Earth, I always believe in supporting street performers, especially during the difficult times. And so yeah, I did my due today. I threw in some coins. With that being said, I hope you can learn from this. Lead by example. He's pretty good, by the way. Bye! If it's a good day and you got a little bit more time and the traffic is moving well, you can take the double-decker to see a little bit more of London's landmark along the way. I'm going to leave it up to you to judge, since I think your intelligence is more superior than the rocks we'll be seeing. Oh, I forgot, just make sure the weather is good enough for a short walk. As we are going to British Natural History Museum, and boy, I don't want to come into shower, but no one controls Mother Nature, right? When the lineups like this, it got to be good. Make sure you get your tickets in advance, or else, boy, it will not be fun to be out here in a pouring rain if the weather doesn't cooperate when you come. The ticket itself is free of charge, but there's a voluntary donation you can make, which I did. I gave them £5, not so bad. It really helps them out. With that being said, look, line up here for non-ticket holders, and ticket holders is just right here. We can go straight in. People. So another thing is tripod is actually not allowed in here, so make sure you don't use it. And don't drag up the line. It ain't cool. Established in 1881, the Natural History Museum in London exhibits a vast range of specimens from a variety of segments of natural history. Its collection of earth science specimens comprises of 80 items. 80 million items within 5 collections: botany, entomology, mineralogy, paleontology, and zoology. I have no idea what is up there, but it looks really, really cool. So let's go and see what adventures awaits us. One of the things I love about this museum is very hands-on. So you can learning by touching and feeling right here, like this. And on this side, there's more rocks to touch. And after feeling it, I learned that I'm not as dumb as a rock. At least I can talk to you right now. This guy can't. The museum holds a vast collection of rocks, minerals, meteorite, and ores. Many of them can be traced back to its foundation of the museum, Sir Hans Sloane, a high society astrophysicist who traveled the world and collected natural history specimens and cultural artifacts along the way. After his death in 1753, Sloane's will allowed the Parliament to buy his extensive collection of more than 71,000 items for £20,000, significantly less than its estimated value, in exchange to build a museum for these items so they can be displayed to the public. Present-day collection includes 500,000 rocks, gems, and minerals, including 5,000 meteorite, as well most comprehensive British collection of seabed samples and ores. As you can see, I'm actually moving right now because this is actually an earthquake simulator, and for those of you who've never felt an earthquake, let you feel different level of earthquake. So I hope That is so neat. That is unbelievably neat. So I hope you never are going to be in that situation ever. Stay safe. If you're afraid of bugs, don't come here. There's around 30 million insects in this building, part of the museum's entomology collection. In fact, these little guys have been piling up and calling this museum home for more than 300 years. Similarly, the paleontology collection contains historical coverage of 7 million vertebrate, invertebrate, and plant fossils. In fact, you can make a lifetime supply of fish and chips many times over with approximately 90,000 specimens of fossil fishes, along with approximately 400 specimens and cast amphibians. The museum houses one of the world's most important dinosaur collections, including those of 157 species. The museum's zoology collection consists of over 29 million animal specimens. In fact, its collection of bird specimens will put even the biggest KFC restaurant to shame, with over 1 million specimens and representing 95% of bird species, making it the largest and most comprehensive in the world. The museum also has one of the largest collections of mammal specimens, with 70% of current known mammal species represented. Hopefully, none of us will end up being the museum's collection anytime soon. The fish collection includes important historical materials collected by James Cook and Charles Darwin. In addition, amphibians and reptiles, many of them trace back to the 18th century. But I'm going to end my visit on a high note. A big note. So if you wonder what's the star attraction of this museum, here you go. Right there, this little guy. Actually, no, he's a pretty big guy. This is actually a skeleton of a whale. It's actually very, very spectacular. So with that being said, this is also a spectacular building. Look at this. Whoa. The nickname given to this skeleton is Hope, a juvenile female blue whale founded by the fisherman Edward Wickham on March 25, 1891, stranded on a sandbar in Wickford Harbour on the southeastern coast of Ireland. The whale struggled in the shallow water for more than 2 days until it was killed by Wickham with an improvised harpoon. The 25-meter skeleton was kept in storage until 1934, when it was on display in the museum's new mammal hall, suspended above a similarly sized plaster model of a blue whale. It was taken down in 2015 for conservation work and redisplayed in 2017. There's also part of the museum dedicated to botany, with 6 million specimens of plants, molds, algae from all over the world. But time is not on my side during the layover. But feel free to check them if you got more to kill. For those of you with a 12-hour layover, this is why I recommend you end your visit and head back to Heathrow. For those of you who have extra 6 hours or more to spend, keep watching. We are going to pay a visit to my mother. I mean, the mother of all museums. Now the reason actually I didn't recommend the British Museum for those of you who are doing a short layover is because of this right here. As you can see, like the lineup here is over a block and a half. It's really long. Honestly, by the time you get it in there, I'm not too sure how much you can see. But if you are doing a long layover, well, then definitely you got time to kill. You should check it out. After hours is free. However, make sure you reserve your tickets. Now, as you can see, there's two sides. This side, there's not much of a lineup because I reserved the time ticket online. But there's other side where people have to go and grab the tickets. As you can see, that's not so much fun, and I wish them luck. The British Museum also traces roots back to Sir Hans Sloane, established in 1753, largely based on his collection. This museum is dedicated to educating the public in human history and art, first opened to the public in 1759. The expansion over the following 250 years was largely a result of British colonialism and from its incredible good job of ruthlessly looting and stealing precious artifacts from other nations. Its permanent collection of 8 million relics is largest in the world, although only 1% of the objects are on display. Some of them were looted or unethically acquired includes the Greek Alkan marbles, the Egyptian's Rosella stone, Nigeria's bent bronze, Koh-i-Noor, one of the world's largest diamond claimed by India, Pakistan, Iran, and Afghanistan, New Zealand's decapitated dry tattoo Maui head, and just to name few, with many illegally taken from my home country of Canada and my birth country of China. Therefore, I will not be showcasing these artifacts in this show. If you are coming to this museum, just be mindful of your time because honestly, it's so big. It is the best museum on the whole planet and its collection is second to none. I mean, you can wander for almost like a whole day and still haven't seen the majority what they have to offer. I mean, with that being said, I think it's time for me to get back to learn a thing about Greeks in Italy. On June 7, 1753, King George II gave his loyal assent to the Act of Parliament which established a museum, first of a new kind of museum, national, belonging to neither the church or the king, freely open to the public and aimed to collect everything. Today is 80,000 objects on display spread over 80 galleries. So, let's be clear, there's no possible way I can even cover a small fraction of it. Let's start by getting high. I mean, starting from the higher floor. For those of you who don't know, I'm both an accountant and a banker. So I don't only love money, but also like to talk about the bling bling. This gallery displays the history of money around the world, including the earliest evidence to the latest development in digital technology. On display includes different forms of medium of exchange, from coins to banknotes, shells to mobile phone payments. The ancient Greek and Rome collection include Greek and Roman life, from 1450 BC to 500 AD. On display includes humble tools and personal items to artifacts used in rituals such as religious worship, wedding, and funerals. The Roman Empire covers a period of 1,000 years from Rome's legendary foundation in 753 BC to 324 AD. Objects range from stones and metal sculpture of emperors and gods to jewelry, silverware, pottery, and glass, including the famous cameo glass Portland vase. Remainder of the collection showcase the ancient Cyprus and Greek in Italy, through the rich display of pottery, terracotta figurines, jewelry, metalwork, and coinage from the settlement of the southern Italy and Sicily. Some of the highlights from Middle East collection includes Mesopotamia, now Iraq and northeast Syria and part of southeast Turkey, covering 6000 to 1500 BC. On display were tombs, skeletons, jewelry, pottery, and musical instruments that were excavated on behalf of the British Museum. The European collection are separated into medieval Europe 300 to 1100, 1400 to 1800, 1800 to 1900, and 1900 to the present day. Some of the notable collections include personal collection of silver and gold cigarette box made by Cartier London belonging to Peter Whiting, an accomplished linguist, biographer, and pianist. One of the biggest attractions on the upper floor is a famous showcase featuring the ancient Egypt. The dedicated gallery of Egyptian death and afterlife explore mummification, magic, and ritual through the objects on display. These include mummies, coffins, funerary masks, portraits, and other items designed to bury with the deceased. The most famous work of art from ancient Egypt on display come from the tomb or chapel of Nevermont, and in total the museum is home to 140 mummy and coffins, the largest outside Cairo. On the ground floor, the Korea Gallery showcases long history from 300 BC to the present day, including chromatics, metalworks, sculptures, paintings, prints, textile, and coins. Its biggest attraction is Sarangbang, section of the traditional Korean house generally reserved for men and guests. The museum has an extensive collection of porcelains. The Chinese Chromatic Gallery features 1700 fine works dating from the 3rd to the 20th century. Some of them are unique creations, while others are mass-produced in batches of several hundreds at a time. The technological innovation are also showcased, including different regional raw materials to produce the visually diverse chromatics in different regions across China. Given my time constraint, our last stop will be American Gallery, featuring the collection from North America. The objects on display range from pipe in form of animal made by the Hopewell people in 2000 BC to warrior shirts from the 18th century. Textiles, clothing, and carved poles and pottery from the regions are also on display, as well as the effects of European contact and colonization on native North American communities. The Mexican object reflects its history from around 2000 BC until the conquest of Aztec Empire by the Spain in 1521. On display are sculptures to turquoise mosaic, gold figurines, and jade figures as well as painted chromatics. I'm completely in favor of repatriation of stolen priceless artifacts. I'm also in favor of the British Museum's mission of providing education of humanity by safeguarding a collection of representative of world cultures. Therefore, if you want to support them beyond a donation, feel free to drop by one of their cafes and gift shops to grab a souvenir. London has many beautiful and historic bridges. Unless you spend all your time getting lost inside the museum, you got time to climb the Tower Bridge, one of the most recognizable bridges in the world. Getting there takes about an hour on foot, not recommended. The best option is to take the half-hour ride on the double-decker and get off at the Tower of London, or take the underground to Euston Station. From there, you can walk across to the ticket office. But once again, this is a very popular tourist attraction. Get your tickets in advance. The good news, it will not cost you an arm and a leg. Even better, bring your student card and get some extra discount. We have got in. Frequently mistaken for the London Bridge, the next bridge upstream, the Tower Bridge is a suspension bridge over River Thames. In 1876, the City of London Corporation held a competition for the design of a much-needed new river crossing downstream of London Bridge, but it was essential that a new bridge would not disrupt the river traffic. So on the way up, you're actually being told with posters and facts, the story and the history of this bridge, and it's really unique to be able to touch the whole structure like this. Alright, so I see if I can get some exercise. There goes another one. Alright, let's continue, shall we? Oh, here's more facts. Right there. Alright, I think we have reached the top, and we will be presented with a little history of this bridge. More than 50 designs were submitted for consideration, and it wasn't until 1884 that the design of Sir Horace Jones and Sir John Wilfrid Barry was chosen. The construction began in 1886, and with the help of Home Depot, the do-it-yourself Londoners completed the bridge in record time of only 8 minutes. Just joking. I mean, Tower Bridge was officially opened 8 years later on June 30th, 1894. Now there's actually two sides to this bridge, this side and the other side right over there. Now I know it's really annoying when you want to go and get a nice view of the city of London, but with these beams, ugh. However, the good news is there are these photo windows that you can point your camera out and get an unobstructed view of the city. You do need to kind of zoom out a little bit so you won't get the blue beam in your photos. One of the attractions over here is just like the glass windows. It's like glass floor. See, you can drink coffee. It's actually nothing scary to me. In fact, this is actually pretty sturdy, so you have nothing to fear about. We have that over in Toronto, CN Tower. By the way, if you want one of these bridges for yourself during that time, the total cost is over £1.184 million. So make sure to have a platinum credit card with a very high limit. Probably higher than this glass floor, 42 meters above the river to be exact. The bridge is made from 11,000 tons of steel and covered with Cornish granite and Portland stones. More than 70,000 tons of concrete was sunk into the riverbed to support the piers. On the south bank, the view is completely different. I prefer on this side because the skyscraper is actually closer. There's also a lot more boats. So with that being said, let's point our camera in the lookout points and capture some spectacular sceneries. There is actually a mirror up there for you to capture yourself conquering the glass floor. Do I look good? I hope so, because this is going on Tinder. It looked not so bad after all. Ha 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 ha. I look just fine. No double chin, guys. What a miracle. What a miracle. I think this is end of our visit, so I'm just heading right down there on this side. The bridge is 244 meters long between two 65-meter tall towers constructed on the piers. The central span of 61 meters between the tower is split equally into two sections, which can be raised to an angle of 83 degrees to allow the river traffic to pass through. Your ticket includes a visitor engine room just underneath the tower. You're able to see how the counterbalance are used to raise each of the 1,100-ton bascule in just 5 minutes, including the original huge hydraulic pumps, which were first powered by coal-burning steam engines and later replaced by the electricity and oil in 1976. Our next stop will require us to cross the river to Greenwich, famous for its maritime history and giving its name to the Greenwich Meridian, the 0 degrees longitude and Greenwich Mean Time. Although London's famous for its underground tube, it also has a lesser-known system of Dockland Light Railway, or DLR, serving two major financial districts, the Canary Wharf and the London city centre. It's pretty cool that nearby Beckton station is only 10 minutes on foot. Even cooler is including your daily fare cap. And the coolest of all, one thing that's really cool, if you can come and see here, is there's no driver on board. Actually, you know what? It's really cool. No driver at all. So if you're able to get the front row seat, you get the best view of the city. Another option is to take the underground tube to North Greenwich station and transfer to a double-decker. This is my preferred form of transportation, so I get to see a little bit more of London. So this bus looks so mine. 188. Now here's one advice though, if you wanted to go to the upper deck, you better be one of the first ones. From the look of this lineup, I don't think I have that luck this time around, but don't worry, there's always next time. Today maybe is my day after all, at least for this ride. As you can see, I am right in the window, the best view in the house. With that being said, you just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Ladies and gentlemen, I think our next stop is ours. So with that being said, prepare to be bored. I love it. Man, this, I'm calling my life insurance agent and after I get off this bus. I'm sure by now those substandard Chinese food have wear off, so let's fuel up with some cheap eats. Given we're on the run, let's make it quick. If you can spare £5, you get to enjoy one of these freshly made deli sandwiches on a warm English baguette. Now another fast and cheap eat is going to a supermarket and grab one of these meal deals. They're not really expensive, to be honest with you, and what you get is like a pasta or a wrap or a sandwich, and then you grab a snack. Then snack could be like a potato chip. Actually, they call it potato crisp here. And also you can grab one of those drinks that's, you know, labeled meal deals. So if you wonder what I'm grabbing tonight, so I'm grabbing a chicken and Zorko sandwich along with, we don't have this in the US, it's actually Pizza Hut potato chips. And I'm gonna get some vitamin C's tonight with mango passion fruit orange smoothies. With that being said, I hope you enjoy your meal. Bon appetit, everyone. But if you're a crazy rich Asian, I'll gladly accept your invitation for a real bite at the Greenwich Market. It's only 1 minute's walk from the DLR station with a really long name. This is a pretty 19th century covered market selling unique gifts. If you come on Tuesdays or Thursdays, it will be filled with stalls showcasing antiques and collectibles from London's best traders in treasures from the past. At the weekends and on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, you can shop for one-of-a-kind arts and crafts. But obviously, we are here for food. You can really find some pretty crazy, let's say unique delicacies here. I think I know a thing or two about Chinese food since I am Chinese by birth. All these years, I never ever heard of ramen burgers. It sounds really interesting. I wish I was hungry, but I am not. So maybe you can try it and let me know what you think. Once you have your dose of unique food, it's time for a quick calorie burn. Just 5 minutes on foot will arrive at the Queen's House. This is a former royal residence and one of the most important buildings in British architectural history. Due to it being the first consciously classical building to be constructed in the country, the architect Ingo Jones was initially appointed by Queen Anne of Denmark in 1616 and again in 1635 by Queen Helena Maria to complete the building as a place to display artworks that they accumulated and commissioned. Today, the Queen's House is part of Royal Museum Greenwich, which include Royal Observatory, Piccadilly Circus, and the National Maritime Museum. If you got the time, pre-book a free ticket to see the interior and prepare to go back in time to learn about the history of the house and Greenwich through its historic artworks. Towards the end of the layover, let's make sure we're on time. No kidding. So get your old grandfather clock out and ready for some serious reset. This is not only where you can bring your clock and retune it. Greenwich is actually famous for being the home of Greenwich Meridian, time zone 00. But at the same time, there is a hill here beside the observatory where you can get a spectacular view of London. Actually, you can just see right now. That's already pretty spectacular. But that being said, let's keep going. At the top of the steep hill, you see this very famous clock. The network of systematic clock that was constructed and installed by Charles Shepherd in 1852. The clock by the gate was the first to display the Greenwich Mean Time to the public. In 1675, King Charles II commissioned the building of a Royal Observatory on the site of Duke Humphrey's medieval watchtower. It was named Flamsteed House in about 1720, after John Flamsteed, the first astronomer royal. Flamsteed appointed to make a map of the heavens. It was hoped that this will solve the longitude problem encountered by the early navigation. The red time ball on the eastern turret was installed in 1833 and is dropped daily at 1 p.m. as a signal of time to the boat on the River Thames. In the same year, the signal was distributed through telegraph lines. And in 1884, the International Meridian Conference in Washington, D.C. decided that Greenwich Prime Meridian should be the prime meridian for the whole world, which was by convention to have the longitude of 0 degrees. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is the world famous Meridian line. On this side is west longitude and this side is east. Apparently right now, I'm half and half, so I'm basically split in two. Our 18 hours in London is coming to an end. Since this hills overlook the Queen's House and the National Maritime Museum, it also has something free to offer. After all the hiking, here you go. This is what you will be rewarded of. Spectacular view of London, its famous skylines. That reminds me of Victoria Peak in Hong Kong. Yeah, it's really nice. It's now getting dark very fast, and this marks the end of our amazing layover in London. Let's head back to London Heathrow from the closest DLR station to cross the River Thames and transfer onto the Elizabeth line bound for Heathrow. It's about an hour and a half ride. Actually, I changed my mind. Let's grab a double-decker towards a North Greenwich Pier. It's a 30 minutes ride. We are all going to cross the river by ending on a high note. I mean, very, very high up. Remember I promised you about budget-friendly London Eye alternatives? Well, here you go. Promise made is promise kept. The reason I didn't get my tickets online is because I didn't know if I'm going to be taking the cable car or not. I mean, I tried to jam in as many. Oh, here you go. I think it's my turn to get the tickets. I talk to you a little bit later. Apparently, we don't even need to get the tickets there. You can just tap your bank card, credit cards, and it charge you directly. So if you do one way, it's £6. Round trip, £12. It's as simple as that. Once again, my friends, please be mindful of your layover time. If the lineup is too long, just skip it. If you are coming here during the summertime, get ready to bring some water with me because the wait could be pretty long and it's outside. So the beginning is coming to a near. I think it's my turn to get up soon. Oh yeah. The London cable car, also known as Dangleway and officially as the IFS Cloud cable car, named after its current sponsor. Its launch sponsor is by airline Emirates. The 1-kilometer gondola line crosses the Thames from the Greenwich Peninsula to a Royal Victoria Dock. So as you can see, I get the whole car to myself, so yay, 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 here we go. And you do get a really nice view up here. £6 versus £40. Come on, no brainer right there. London Eye, too expensive. The idea for a cable car linking the Greenwich Peninsula with the north bank of Thames has floated since the early 1990s. On July 4, 2010, Transport for London announced a plan to develop a cable car crossing the River Thames, which will be the first urban cable car in the United Kingdom. The initial budget was £25. Oh, sorry, £25 million. But the figure was first revised to $45 million, and by September 2011, it has more than doubled to $60 million. Ouch. However, the public opening did take place on the noon of June 28, 2012, almost a month before the opening ceremony of the London 2012 Olympic Games. So that was quite a lot of fun and definitely strongly recommend it. Now, unless you find a loyal match on Tinder, it's not worth being late for your flight. Once again, I always have good news. This time from the Loyal Dock cable car station, the closest underground tube on Elizabeth Line is only 10 minutes on foot. The Custom House station will take you directly to Heathrow Airport in only 50 minutes. But I recommend you leave no later than 2.5 hours prior to your flight departure time, especially if you need to retrieve your stored luggage and to check them in. Once again, given how unpredictable London traffic is, under no circumstance you should take a cab, unless you want to see your flight flying across the London sky. For those of you who's heading to the other part of the United Kingdom, London is well connected by intercity rail and buses, although the frequent trains will link London to other cities in slightly shorter time. But for me and many of you, the layover will end at London Victoria Coach Station. In most cases, the buses are more budget friendly and with more departure times. With that being said, I'll be hopping on to this Birmingham-bound bus to visit my family. Excluding my 6 hours of sleep, this marks my fun and productive 18 hours in London. I hope you enjoy your layover in London Heathrow. Have a pleasant flight or bus ride or train ride and a safe journey. See you next time and thanks for watching.